going? And welcome back to another Rugby League NRL team maker, baby. Excited again. We love this series because it really starts to get those juices flowing in the brain to get back into the NRL season. 2024 season is really, really fast approaching now. I'm not too sure when this goes out, but we've got the Māori All-Stars versus Indigenous All-Stars coming up soon. I think the charity match would have already happened, but I hope you guys did enjoy that. If you did watch that, and you should have watched that, because it was myself and Clarky commentating, and also the guest today, the content creator today, he's actually, it would have been a part of it by then. So that would have been hopefully a good day, but this is coming out after that. So, yeah, obviously, guys, we do a team maker for every single different position in the rugby league. We go through every single player in that position that at least plays sometimes there. You know, obviously there are some players who more than likely won't play in said position or could play a different position. But the fact of the matter is we still want to kind of include all the players that potentially could play there throughout the season that we know and give them a ranking of elite quality, do the job not that great and unproven. But as I said, I do it alongside another content creator every single time, just so it's not my biased opinion all the time. We do have somebody else to kind of bounce off. And today it is Adolf the Great. How are we doing, man?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Very well, thank you. How are you?
Just ready to rock and roll here. We've got 46 players to slap through here today in the locks department. And, you know, the lock is an interesting position because obviously it's not just like a front rower. They're obviously in the middle, but they're not just a front rower, just barnstorm up the front. They've got to do that, but they've also got to get a bit of ball playing ability as well. So what are you thinking about the locks today?
Yeah, mate, look, I genuinely believe, and I know this is a controversial take, but I genuinely believe that a lock should be part of the
Not a
modern-day
controversial
spine.
take. No, it's not a controversial take, man. It's something that I've been saying for a long time now. We need it to happen. We need it to happen. Anyone who says it's a controversial take, you don't know what you're talking about, son. You know what you're talking about. It's a part of the spine, but keep going.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think the lock has definitely developed into a very important position these days, and that's kind of why I wanted to jump on and do the lock video with you, because you know I really rate locks. I think locks are a lot more important these days than what a lot of people give them credit for. So yeah, that's why I wanted to jump on and talk locks.
100%, man. Yeah, no, it's definitely a very important position. You know, if you don't have a good lock, man, you don't have a real good solo. Look at the best teams. You know, the Panthers, they've got Isaiah Yeo. We'll get into him in a bit. But, you know, he's just like the epitome of what it means to how important it is. You take Isaiah Yeo out of that team, look, they might still win the premiership with the quality they have, but he really does add in like that massive benefit. And it's just without that kind of position, you just don't have a forward who's really able to kind of disperse it and get some nice, good passing going with their hard running. So it really is a good position. But like I said, guys, today we are going through all the locks. Actually, before we do get in, I'd also let everyone know what you do in the content community.
Yeah, so I started YouTube about 4 years ago. Predominantly a reaction channel, to be honest. Did NRL tips and stuff, and then transitioned into Rabbitohs content on my channel, and then fully transitioned into like an NRL YouTube channel about probably 2 years ago now. And then yeah, over on TikTok I do fully pretty much NRL videos. So yeah, got a good community following me, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, nice, man. Yeah, obviously, he is a Rabbitohs fan, guys. So when we do get to the likes of Jair Curran Murray, do obviously keep that in mind. Do keep that in mind, because you have to keep it in mind that when we get to Tino, I'm putting him not even just elite, I'm putting him above elite. I'm putting him above the top tier. You're at the top tier, and that's where you see his legs dangling. That's how high up Tino Malawi is. But all right, I reckon we get in to it here. Now, just before we get in as well, guys, if you are a player watching, I know some players watch these, do understand that if we put you in not that great, or we put you into the job and you're not a big fan of that, motivate from it, man. Like, we're not here to shit on you. We're not here to, you know, say that you're not a good player, because you're 100 times the player that I am. But, you know, compared to your peers and compared to the other athletes in the game, I think we both believe that you need to do a little bit better, personally, to kind of get above those guys. We're not saying that you are just an awful player in general, just compared to the other guys doing a spectacular job. You're just not at that level currently. So we're not trying to shit on you. We're just giving our opinion, and we could be wrong. This is just our opinion. You know, there's always going to be people who disagree. But at the end of the day, it's not something that we're doing just to kind of, you know, hurt your feelings by any means. We're not trying to do that at all. And we will have somebody, at least one person, it always happens though, in elite quality do the job and not that great and unproven. There will always have to be at least one player in each tier. But all right, Adolf, are you ready to go?
Let's get into it.
Okay, well, first up here, we do go to the Newcastle Knights, and it is Adam Elliott. What are your thoughts on Adam Elliott?
Look, I think Adam is a great player. I think I generally believe he is slightly underrated as well. I think that especially with his days at the Raiders, I thought, a lot of their forwards kind of stood out a lot more than he did. He was sort of the guy that did the hard work but not really noticed. So I think he's a genuinely good player.
Yeah, look, I think Adam Elliott is a fine player, man. I don't think he's anything spectacular. I'd be looking
Yeah.
probably towards that do the job section,
Yep.
to be completely honest with you. I just think that he is going to come in, he is going to do the job. It's not going to be at a electrifying level like you'll see with some other locks, but he's also able to still provide a solid enough job where the team is going to get over the line or at least be sort of competitive based on what he's doing there. So are you saying to the job as well?
Yeah, mate, absolutely. Yep.
There we go. All right, we chuck him into do the job. Next up here, we go to the Melbourne Storm, and it is Alec MacDonald. Alec MacDonald seems like he's had his name kind of around the system for a little bit now, and really can't cement himself an opportunity. Do you know much about Alec MacDonald?
Oh, look, I know a bit about him. I've obviously watched him play before, but I don't have enough to really talk too much on Alec. I think he's an okay player, but definitely not one that, if I was thinking NRL players, Alec MacDonald wouldn't be one of the first that comes to mind, to be honest.
So yeah, I think the benefit with Alec MacDonald is that he's only 22 years old. However, with saying that, he has played 24 games. We usually go via the 20 game mark to kind of understand, to be able to put them into somewhere that's not unproven. And the issue with Alec MacDonald is that he does have Josh King in front of him, and Josh King, and we'll get into him, is like he's an okay player. He's nothing that people look at and say, oh, he's one of the best locks in the game. And Alec MacDonald can't seem to kind of cement himself a spot despite Josh King being there. So for me, I would personally be looking towards that not that great section.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I just think that he needs to show more in 2024, and just we need to see a lot more coming forward. But again, the age is on his side. So 22 years old is nothing, man. He can definitely still turn into a great player. So like I said, motivate for what we're saying, get into that next level. Bing bong, thanks for coming. All righty, Cameron McInnes. What are you thinking about Cameron McInnes? Obviously, he's the Sharkies. Originally was at the Dragons as a hooker, and now is at the Sharks. And doesn't actually usually start as a 13, I don't believe. He's not usually the starter, but he usually comes off the bench and plays a bit of lock. Or when he is playing lock on the field and starting, he goes and gets like 75 tackles in a game, which was ludicrous. I can't remember what game that was, but he got like 75 tackles in 80 minutes, which is just absurd.
Yeah, no, he also played for the Rabbitohs too, fun fact. No, I like Cam. I think Cam's a good player. He does the job. I probably wouldn't have him up in the quality sort of area, but I do think he does the job. He can fill in, as you said, at dummy half. He can fill in at lock. He's a versatile player. You could probably put him in the front row, second row as well. So that he's versatile, but I don't think he's one of the better locks in the game. I think he's definitely around that do the job sort of area.
Yeah, look, I think that if I was to, talk on Cameron, when you're looking at a lock, he really realistically doesn't play much of a ball playing lock role, which is what you want to see nowadays. And that's an issue that I'll find with a player later on that is more of a front rower than a lock, in my personal opinion. But yeah, look, McInnes is a solid player. If you're looking at defensive capabilities, you put him into elite, like on based off of his defense. He would go into elite. But I just think as an overall all-round lock, you're probably right. But I would definitely have him above Adam Elliott, though. I still think he does a really, really solid job for the Sharkies off that bench.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that.
There you go. All right, we'll chuck him above Adam Elliott. Okay, I'm going to give you the floor here, mate. This is the Rabbitohs, and it is Cameron Murray. It's your guy. Let us know your thoughts. We'll see if I agree with you, but Cameron Murray, you take the floor.
Look, Cameron Murray, he is one of my favourite players in the entire NRL. I love Cameron Murray. When he's off the field for the Rabbitohs just start going downhill. He is the energy guy. He's the glue guy for the Rabbitohs. He gets the hard stuff done. He makes the meters. He makes the tackles. He's just a workhorse, and he gets around the guys. The guys listen to him. The guys respect him. The guys like him. That's what you want in a leader. Look, I think he's a top 5 lock in the NRL.
Mm.
I could be extremely biased and say he's the best lock in the NRL, but I know for a fact that that is not true. I think when he is on, he can be the best lock in the NRL, but overall, I definitely don't believe he's the best lock, but he's definitely, in my opinion, he's an elite level lock.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely putting him into elite. I moved him there early days. One, I knew you'd put him there, and two, I was going to put him there anyway. There is a couple of players around him that, it'll be discussed to see if they're above him or not. But no, I think Cam Murray is an excellent lock. I don't think that 2023 was his best year by any means. But then again, the whole Rabbitohs were down, and, you've got to look at a few other factors there that we've spoken about in videos recently about the Rabbitohs. And, Cameron Murray is a great lock that, does have those defensive capabilities, plus has that attacking opportunity quite frequently, actually, and especially for Australia. But that was in the back row as well. So it's hard to read him when he goes into the rep teams, because obviously it's not usually him in the lock. He's usually back row for New South Wales and back row for the Australians as well. So you kind of only get a direct reflection when he's playing NRL for the Rabbitohs. And I think that, he is probably top two in the game. And I think that based off the history and the consistency that he's shown over the years, Cameron Murray definitely for me is a top two at very minimum, realistically, and could easily be number one. But we'll put him into elite there. And I think that we leave that one for now. All right, this one's going to be a bit of a quick one here. Chris Faagutu for the Tigers. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that right, brother. But I think I'm probably going to have to put him straight into Unproven. Do you have much to say about Chris?
Look, I'll be honest with you, I don't.
Yeah, exactly right. Just as simple as that. So Chris goes Unproven. Obviously, the Tigers, I believe I saw on the Cast Patrol Insta today, actually, that the Tigers have the youngest team in the competition, and the Titans are second. So two teams that have struggled, but maybe in 2-3 years' time could be seeing a grand final. Titans, Tigers, thanks for coming. But Chris Faagutu, obviously, I don't think that you'd say that any position besides maybe Api is out, and he's getting older now, so I don't think that there's necessary. In this year there is a couple position locked off, but in the coming 2-3 years, there's definitely no positions that I can see is guaranteed besides maybe Luai, which doesn't affect Chris Faagutu, right? So I think that he's got plenty of opportunity to get in. We just don't know anything about him just yet. Okay, we go to the Sydney Roosters, and it is Connor Watson, who was at the Knights, came to the Roosters and didn't really kind of take control. Did he get injured last year, or what happened with Connor Watson?
No. Injury did hammer him a bit when he got with the Roosters, and I think he missed most of last year through injury. So, tough. But look, it's hard to say with very little we saw of him from last year with the Roosters. It's hard to really, say he's rank him anywhere, to be honest. Like we saw him at the Knights, and he was an absolute weapon for Newcastle, especially like off the bench as a utility forward for them there. But on his day, he's a quality player, but I probably would have him around that do the job mark, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when he was at the Knights, he was low-end quality based on the minutes as well. Like, obviously, he wasn't just completely their starting hooker, right? He was all over the place as well. Would play a bit of lock and, it was hooker and then a lock and all these different positions. And now he's at the Roosters, and injury obviously derailed a bit of his season last year. I definitely think that he can get back up into quality, but I do think that I would put him above McInnes into the job, just because he does have that electric pace about him. He does have a bit of game-changing ability about him, Connor Watson. I don't think that he is I don't think that he's like a Harry Grant by any means, but I do think that he has kind of that real nifty pace out of the dummy half role that really turns a game. And then obviously in the lock position. To be fair, we are thinking lock here. I'm thinking the hooker for some reason. I'm like, because Connor Watson for me is mainly a hooker.
It's a hooker,
he's mainly a hooker, but he does play a little bit of lock as well. Or maybe in lock department, I'd probably put him below McInnes. I think that,
Yeah, I would have done the same, just for the fact that, they're both I'd say they're both the complete opposite players, because McInnes is a very, very, very defensive player, whereas Watson's more of an attacking player. So complete opposite players, but based off current sort of, the current form we've seen, I'd probably have McInnes slightly above him, but look, I think you could probably put them either way. And
Yeah, I just got a little for some because obviously kind of Watson is mainly a hooker, so I
Yeah,
just got confused, and that's what I was kind of ranking him on just then. I would personally take McInnes because I do like that defensive capability
yeah.
over what kind of Watson can provide. But obviously, again, I take the attack over McInnes there. So it's an interesting one. Yeah, it's 50-50. You could even make an argument that Adam Elliott could be above him in the lock position specifically, but I think we'll leave that for the time being. All right, we go to the Canberra Raiders here. And it was a guy that I didn't really rate a great deal coming through, but he's absolutely had an insane 2023 season that has got him back, has got him amongst the Queensland team. It's Corey Horsbrough here for Canberra. I thought he had a spectacular year in 2023. Again, I didn't really kind of rate him a great deal prior to that, but he just really exploded. Loved what he did there, the big horse. I do genuinely believe that it was enough in 2023 for me to say, yeah, he's a quality lock.
Oh, absolutely. I'd put him straight into quality. Yeah, definitely on the high end of quality as well. Like, look, I could be overrating him a little bit, but I really like Corey Horsbrough. I think he is just, he's a damaging lock. He got that fire in him as well that you need in every team. He's not afraid to get into the niggle and the tough stuff.
Typical
well.
Canberra mindset, man. Canberra is just always about that niggle, always about that grind, and Corey Horsbrough really represents all of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'd be putting him straight into quality. I think he's definitely one of the up there for one of the top locks in the game.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. I think he's just had such a big year in 2023 that,
Yeah.
And also in 2024, Canberra are going to be, they're more than likely going to struggle because they don't really have a backline at the moment. And that means that you're going to have to see guys like Joey Tapine, you're going to have to see guys like Corey Horsbrough really turn it up and, kind of grind them through a lot of games. And you usually see, some the forwards that really turn it up when the team is going rough because they need to just kind of pump along while the other team is just attack. So that's why I'm looking at fantasy this year, Supercoach. And I'm thinking Raiders forwards are a big time go. Backline, no. Forwards, yes. And Horsbrough, maybe a chance there, but he's definitely into quality. All right. We now go to the Cronulla Sharkies, and we've got Dale Finucane, came from the Storm, went to the Sharks. Obviously, is their main 13 there. A bit of an interesting one here with Dale Finucane. Kind of, he is a defense. He's really balanced, actually, I would say. I don't think that he really kind of focuses by any means on attack. But I do think he's just a flat-out solid player. But I am trying to figure out, like I have had him in quality in the past, I am trying to figure out if he's at the very top of do the job or is at the bottom of quality, just because, there are so many other players in this team that kind of take the light away from him, take the shine away from him. And he's not that kind of guy who does have that shine and light, but he just does his work at a real solid level. Do you think it's top of do the job or do you think it's bottom of quality?
See, now, a few years ago, I would have said definitely pop him in quality. I think, I used to love watching Dale Finucane. Like, he was just, I'd have him in a lot of my fantasy teams and stuff like that because he'd be making a lot of tackles. He'd be making a lot of meters, but now he's sort of just a quality lock, but like not in the quality. Like
I know what you're saying. I mean? Like, so when you do lists like this, man, sometimes there are players who are very good at what they do, but they're still a do the job kind of player.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah, so I think that we put him above. We definitely put him above Cameron McInnes because he is the starting lock there. But I agree with you. Yeah, in the past we've definitely had Finucane in the quality section, and there's no two ways about it when he was at the Melbourne Storm. And even though the Sharkies should be a much better team than what they are, I think there's other players in that team that really do kind of progress them. And I think Finucane just kind of, if he can get back to his Storm form, fantastic. But I think right at this very second, he's not at his. He's doing a very good job at that quality level, but do the job. I know what you're saying. I agree with you. All right, let's go now into Dylan Walker here for the Warriors, a guy who features on a lot of these lists. He's been in 13. He's been in back row, I think. He's been probably in front row, and he'll probably even be in the hooker at some stage as well. He just is a massive utility player. What are your thoughts on Dylan Walker in the lock position?
See, this is tough because when I picture Dylan Walker, I don't picture lock. But I tell you what, he's versatile. That's one word for him. He is versatile. Comes off the bench. He can do a job anywhere for the Warriors. I actually think he was one of their better players, especially at the back end of last year. Just where he can fit in the team. Like if you need him to play center, I'd probably say his best position is center or 5'8". But You know, if at a pinch, if you need him in the forward pack, he can do it. He can do a job there. So I personally think for the lock, maybe down the back end of do a job, in my opinion. But I'd love to hear yours.
No, I've got him literally right at the back end. And this is what Norman and I had in the hooker, I think, as well, because it wasn't really his position either, but he's played there. But yeah, I've got Dylan Walker right at the back end. I think that he's probably going to go there for every single position. If you're doing a utility, like if we did a utilities list, then you probably put Dylan Walker into the elite category because he can play literally everywhere. But when it comes to individual positions comparatively, he's not really kind of in up that top level like with Corey Horsbrough or Murray and kind of stuff. But yeah, he'll do the job. So yeah, I think we put him right at the bottom there. I still probably would take Adam Elliott as my starting 13 over Dylan Walker, especially considering that is specifically Adam Elliott's position. So we're happy to put him at the bottom.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. We get to the 2024 Premier winning Gold Coast Titans here. And it is my boy, Erin Clark. Really looking forward to seeing kind of how he can implement himself under Desi Hazel this year. He, originally kind of was in the 9 when Justin Holbrook was the coach. Then we all realized very quickly he's not a 9. And then he was tested out in the lock department last year and really showed himself as quite quality. However, it wasn't necessarily consistent in how well he could do in that lock. And then Isaac Liu was also taking over a lot of that lock position. And Ez was kind of forced to be off the bench there. But Erin Clark may have a chance of kind of working his way back into that lock position under Desi. Not too sure just yet. For me, I know a lot of people think I'm just going to say, straight up quality. I think right at this very second, I think that Erin Clark is probably in that do the job category. And I think that he's still got a little bit to prove this year specifically. I know he can prove it because he does have those real big shining moments in games. And some games he can really actually take over from the lock position, which is why a lot of Titans fans do actually want to see him as the lock over a guy like Isaac Lee or even Tino, who they prefer in the front row. But for me, if I was looking at this list right now, I would put Ez in between. I would put Ez in between McInnes and Finucane.
Okay.
What would you say?
I like Erin Clark. I think Erin Clark is a bloody good player. I think he is extremely underrated. Like I do think that he's, he comes in, he does the job he needs to do. I'd probably agree with you. I think that's a fair ranking.
I think I was originally looking at between McInnes and Connor Watson because I've definitely got Ez above Connor Watson for mine. Yeah. He's a lot more balanced, but I just think that I don't know. I've just seen more quality recently from Erin Clark than I've seen from McInnes recently. I think if you compare careers, then yeah, you're looking. But then again, Cameron McInnes' career, his main big days were actually when he was hooker at the Dragons. Yeah. Whilst Erin Clark, he hasn't really had that big time moment in his career yet. But I just think that overall, there's more potential out of Ez. I think he's about 25 years old or so. He's not he's not too old. And I think that Cameron McInnes in his 30s. I think there's just a little bit more that we can see from Ez, and they're in similar positions realistically.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would agree with that.
Yeah. So, I'm okay with that one. Love the big old Ez, but we do chuck him into do the job there. But at least it's at the top end. All right, we now go back to the Tigers, and it is Fonua Pole, who I think it was his debut year last year, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so. If not last year, might have made his debut at the end of 2022, but I think you're right.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Fonua Pole? I'm going to quickly go have a look at how many games he's played whilst you say what your thoughts are.
I was very, very hyped about him at the start of last season, but I don't know. I don't feel like he lived up to a lot of the hype that people were giving him. I think he's a fine player. I think he's a good young player that's still got a long way to go in his career. I think he can develop into a great player, but I just, I don't know. I think people came in and sort of overhyped him a little bit, and I think a lot of people followed in that, thinking that he was going to just come out and kill it for the Tigers, and he's done fine for them, but I just think, I think he was overhyped in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I've got him at the top end of not that great. He's played 33 games, so and that was 2022 and 2023. Yeah. So he's definitely able to be ranked right now. And yeah, I don't think he's made enough of an impression in that 33 games to kind of put himself out of that not that great section. And he's also at the Tigers, right? So the Tigers are a very tough team you have to be a very, very quality player right now to shine. Look at Isaiah Papali'i. Went from the Eels, was a back row of the year, and then went to the Tigers and just isn't getting enough ball, isn't getting the quality distribution, and has regressed quite significantly based upon kind of where he was. And that's the same thing with Fonua. He hasn't regressed, but he hasn't had that opportunity with the team that he's around to really show out either. But he also hasn't done enough individually to kind of prove himself at and not that great. So, still obviously got the age there on his side as well. Very similar to McDonald's. But overall, I think we put him. I definitely have him above McDonald, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. All right, we've got a guy here, Hame Sele, who's playing with the Dragons. Obviously, he came from your Rabbitohs, boys. What are your thoughts on Sele?
Man, I'm so disappointed we lost Sele. Sele, he is. Look, at the start of last year, I was like, how is he going to fit in this team? Because I didn't really rate him at the start of last year. I knew he could do a job. He could be, fill in off the bench or do that. But then when him and Taumalolo were playing up in the front row together, they were absolutely killing it. Like when both of them got injured, we just fell into a heap. Our forwards just they couldn't do the job. They couldn't get it done. Like we lost a lot of impact when Hame Sele got injured. So I think he is a very, very good player. I think prior to last season, I probably would have had him in not that great. But I definitely think he does the job.
Are you thinking about lock as well?
Probably not. I'd say more of a front rower, to be fair.
Like, do you think that he has that ball playing ability as the lock?
Not as much as a lot of players on this list, if I'm being honest with you. So with that being said, he probably deserves to go into probably the top end of not that great as a lock. But
in front row, you think, I think in front row, he's definitely going to be probably actually towards that top end, top to middle of the job. I think that comparatively, he's top to middle end of the job, which we're doing the front rowers with Hectic Fred. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I think that in the lock position specifically, I don't really see a great deal of that ball playing ability out of Hame Sele. So, just get that ball and run it as hard as you possibly can, son. And that's exactly what he does. Look, the Dragons, they need a guy like Hame Sele. I think that he will really work out with them. But again, they've got Jack Belin as their lock as well. Yeah, so there you go. All right, so we'll put him at the top end of not that great. Again, front rowers, guys, he's going to be in a better position than that. Okay, we go to the Raiders now. It is Hohepa Puru. I think this guy, that was his first year even being acknowledged, really, in 2023, if I'm not mistaken. I personally would be putting him into the Unproven section, and I would be putting him, I'd probably put him above Chris Faagutu, just because at least we've heard of Hohepa Puru.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%.
Just as simple as that. All right, we go back to my boys now, the Gold Coast Titans, and it is Isaac Liu, a controversial figure at the club in the fans' eyes, but a very, very well-respected man when it comes to the players from within and the team within. Isaac Liu has the Iceman, has the ultimate respect from within the club, but what the fans see, they're not massive fans of. I think that, look, he hasn't been at his best at all after coming up from the Roosters, for sure. I think that he was signed as a solid player that could really, give a bit of premiership experience from those Roosters days. He did have big-time players there, though, like a Prime Kiri. He had Chipper Cronk. He had, was Jake Friend a part of that team back then, the Roosters 2018?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. So he had and then obviously Prime Tedesco and whatnot. He had a great team around him. The Titans obviously have been rebuilding, a rebuild after rebuild after rebuild in the last couple of years. And unfortunately, Liu has kind of struggled to implement himself on the field. With that being said, I would not actually put him in not that great. I'd put him right at the bottom end of the job, because at the end of the day, I do think that Isaac Liu is a little bit better than what people make him out to be. He can make a mistake for sure. I would nearly prefer him to play as a front rower off the bench than as a starting lock. And I actually believe that Desi's actually probably going to do that this year. But Isaac Liu is a solid enough player, will do the job, will make mistakes for sure, which is why it takes him down to that back end to do the job. I think we had him in not that great last year, but I did see enough out of him this year probably to put him right at the back end to do the job.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Like, I think he's definitely got he's definitely got a lot of upside. When he, as you said, when he was playing with the Roosters, he had a very good team around him, so that definitely does help and make players look better. However, I do think that coming over the Titans again, as you said, he's sort of not lived up to that hype that I guess a lot of people would expect. However, I do think he still has a lot of upside. I think there's a lot he can offer for the Titans, and I probably would have him as you said, at the back end to do the job. However, if he, definitely put the foot down and I guess leveled up in 2024, you could definitely see him towards the front of the do the job for sure.
Yeah, it's just the age that doesn't help that kind of notion.
True.
But with that, like Isaac Liu is a very well-respected man from within the club, so I could definitely see him moving up probably to the middle end. But I do think that his best days are behind him, obviously, due to the age. And I think that if he could get his way up to the top and do the job, fantastic. But it's just that age factor. I think this is maybe his last year in his contract as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes after that. But they're very experienced and will still do the job overall. So we'll put him behind. Oh yeah, look, I think right now we put him right at that back end. I wouldn't even be upset by putting him above Dylan Walker, below Adam Elliott. Actually, that's probably where I would look to personally, because I don't think that Dylan Walker is necessarily. I think that he is just a flat out right at the back end and do the job. He'll come in if needed to, but he's not their lock.
Yep, absolutely.
So you're happy with Isaac Liu above Dylan Walker?
Yep.
All right, there we go. All right, next one here. This is the interesting one. Isaiah Yeo from the Panthers. As always, is it Isaiah Yeo best lock, or is it Cam Murray best lock? Or now there's another guy who's come into the scene as well. We've got Isaiah Yeo, who obviously has now won 3 premierships in a row, is the lock for Australia, is the lock for New South Wales, and also 4 grand finals in a row as well. And really does help lead that Panthers team as that extra spine member. He does have a great team around him. And he always has a great team around him. But do you have him above Cameron Murray as a Rabbitohs fan?
I do. I do think Isaiah Yeo is the best lock in the NRL at this point of time. You're right, though. There is another player that's probably around that mark too. But I do think that Isaiah Yeo is the best lock in the NRL. That's yeah.
Yeah, I think that he's got the intelligence there. I think that a lot of people kind of hating him a little bit because he may not be the most X factor lock that you've seen. Cameron Murray has a lot more X factor than what Isaiah Yeo has. But overall, I think that Isaiah Yeo is more of a, and this isn't saying that Cameron Murray's done by any means, but I'm saying that Isaiah Yeo is probably the more intelligent lock in the decision making.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that we see Isaiah Yeo more consistent than Cam Murray. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Cam Murray, and Cam Murray can have, I'd say Isaiah Yeo probably has a 8 or 9 out of 10 game every single week. Whereas Cameron Murray can give you a 10 out of 10 game, and then the next week he can give you a 6. Exactly right. So I just think the consistency really helps Isaiah Yeo in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I went to you first, because as the Rabbitohs fan, I know that it's a very controversial, heated discussion usually between Isaiah Yeo and Cameron Murray. But the Rabbitohs fan was the one who said it, guys, and I agree with him as well. But it's good. He's not biased. All right, we've got Jermaine Hopgood. No, we don't have Jermaine. Oh, wait, is Jermaine Hopgood on this thing? Oh, he's down there. Hold on. Hold on. I know Jermaine is next because of the apostrophe in his name. I'm trying to fix it. There we go. We've got Jermaine Hopgood here for the Parramatta Eels. And Jermaine Hopgood, for me, had a great year in 2023. Obviously, Guru's love child until he got rid of him and broke everybody's hearts by getting rid of him. Jermaine Hopgood was a massive player for Supercoach. And I think that for me, the first half of the season for Jermaine Hopgood was obviously his best. The second half, maybe not so much, but overall, I have seen enough out of him to put him into that quality tier. I would put Corey Horsbrough above him for the time being, but I do think that after this year, we'll see Jermaine Hopgood potentially go to the top of quality. Or, I don't know if he has enough in him to be elite just yet. We need to see a lot more proof in the pudding. But I do think that by the end of the year, we'll see him at the top of quality. But for the time being, I would put him below Horsbrough in quality.
I absolutely agree. Look, I think we're probably going to need to see at least another 2 years out of him before I could say definitely up in that elite category. But no, I definitely think for now, just behind Horsbrough, he was incredible. I thought he'd be good in 2023, but he definitely exceeded my expectations. He came out and he absolutely killed it. He's on Billy Slater's hit list too for Queensland, so that's saying something as well. So yeah, I definitely have Jermaine Hopgood in quality.
Oh, I'll tell you what, how about the depth the Queensland forwards have at the moment? You know, it's just ridiculous. You go, like, you look at the Titans just for starters. Tino, Mo, David Fafita, and Bowie Furman now come back to the fray. You got Jermaine Hopgood, you got Tommy Gilbert, you've got Paddy Carrigan, you know, you've got just an insane amount of players that depth-wise that Queensland has. And it's scary for New South Wales, son. Don't be scared, New South Wales, but please be scared. I like it. Then you got Jai Arrow as well. Gee whiz, my God, it's absolutely cracking down there. But yeah, I think we'll put him into quality below Horsbrough. But again, I believe he will be by the end of this year. Even if Corey Horsbrough has a great year, I think Hopgood will have a better year personally at the Eels. And I think they've got a better chance of really. And he is more, for me, I think that Jermaine Hopgood is more of a newer age, pure lock with the passing ability comparatively to Horsbrough. Horsbrough does have the pass in him, but it's more Jermaine Hopgood. So I do think that by the end of this year, he will be above him. But all right, let's go to Jack de Belin here for the St. George Illawarra Dragons. And this guy is going to be another one that I think that I'm going to put him to quality. I think that Jack de Belin is an absolute workhorse there for the Dragons. I think that he is massively needed. I believe he should be the captain. And without going into off-field potential discretions, I do think that is holding him back. I think that regardless of the outcome of things off the field, unfortunately, people have a negative viewpoint of him because of that. And he can't get the captaincy because of that, when I believe he absolutely deserves to be the captain as a rugby league player. He is a role model for this team. He does lead this team. And I think that Jack de Belin does deserve the captaincy personally.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I definitely have him towards the back end of quality, but definitely not in do the job. I think he is a very, very good lock. And yeah, a very, very underrated leader too. So yeah, I completely agree.
Would you put him above or below Jermaine Hopgood?
Below, I'll be honest. I would put him below. Don't get me wrong. It's hard because we've only seen one season from Hopgood as well. So I guess you could make that argument that, you know, Jack de Belin's been a bloody good lock for his entire career, whereas we've only seen 1 year from Hopgood. So I guess, look, off 2023, I would have Hopgood above de Belin. However, I get you. I get the argument for putting de Belin over Hopgood.
I'm happy to leave it as it is with Jack de Belin below Hopgood, just because, like, again, I am really excited about what Jermaine Hopgood can provide, and I think that de Belin's more of a absolute workhorse for the Dragons. Very similar in a way to, you know, like a Finucane, but there is a bit more X factor for Jack de Belin the Dragons than a Finucane. That's why they're still right next to each other, just in different tiers. But yeah, I think that, look, de Belin for me, below Hopgood. Don't know if that changes either going next year, because again, I think the Hopgood goes even further up. But so we'll put him at the back end of quality, but happy that he is in the quality section because he does deserve a lot more credit than he gets. All right, we are back to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. It is Jai Arrow here, an ex-Gold Coast Titan as well. Actually ran into him at the airport when I was off to the Manly versus Titans game last year, the week after the Dolphins game, which wasn't great. We don't talk about that one. But Jai Arrow, mainly kind of known for his back row, was a lock at the Titans though. Was the number 13 for the Gold Coast Titans when he was here. But now he's mainly off the bench or in the back row. But when he is playing the lock, what are your thoughts?
I thought he definitely was a look. I've been happy with him since he's joined the Rabbitohs, and for the last, this will be his 4th season now with the club. He's done the job we need him to do. But as a lock, I think he played his best footy with the Titans. I believe the club is transitioning him into a front rower this year, like fully.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because I think. I won't get into a whole discussion on the Rabbitohs team list. We'll leave that one. But yeah, I do believe that he will be lining up in the front row for the Rabbitohs. So as a lock, I want to put him in quality. But yeah, I just, we haven't seen him play at a top level at lock since the Titans. So I would probably put him somewhere and do the job. As a biased Souths fan, I'd have him up the top of do the job, but yeah.
I think if I'm getting a lock, his best days definitely with the Gold Coast Titans. For the lock specifically, for the back row, obviously more so Rabbitohs. If I'm taking a draft right now, I would probably still take Jairo over Erin Clark. And yeah, I probably would. Jairo is, but then again, that could be the biased opinion from when he was with us. It has been a few years since he really has been at the lock department. But then again, Ez is kind of in and out with the team, plus also like off the bench, and the same with McInnes. Whilst Jairo is the same, but for back row, I don't know. I reckon we put him above. It's either above Ez or below McInnes, or in between Ez and McInnes. Where do you think we should put him?
I would probably put him between McInnes and Erin Clark.
Yeah,
that's where I would put him. But
yeah, I think that in the lock department for sure. And we obviously did do the back row with Rando, where I can't remember where we put him, but I think that's fair for the lock specifically. He has been at a very quality, and even arguably at one point was very low end elite actually at one point.
yeah,
But obviously nowadays, because he was the lock for Queensland, I think late 2000s if I'm not mistaken. But long story short, yeah, he's more of a back rower nowadays, guys. So we'll chuck him into the do the job category. Still quite high up there. All right, we go now into the big Jakey T, Jake Trbojevic for the Manly Seagulls, who should have a better year this year. Obviously, Jake Trbojevic definitely was elite in the past, and the game's probably gone in a bit of a different direction to his play style, very similar to a Roosters lock that we'll get to a little bit later on. Jake Trbojevic, for me, is still an absolutely unbelievable player, and I could still see the argument for him to be at the bottom of elite. For me, I'd probably put him right at the top of quality or bottom of elite, depending on what you're about to say. But for me, Jake Trbojevic is still an absolutely unbelievable player and can play in front row and lock as well.
I would put him at the front end of quality. Definitely agree. He definitely could push towards that elite once again, but I think as of right now, I think top end of quality is a fair rating for him. I really do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's only several plays you can put in that elite tier, to be honest, and I think he just misses the mark.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Jake Trbojevic definitely has been elite in the past, but nowadays, he does have a little bit to kind of work his way back into that foray, and Manly this year could definitely help him to achieve that, because Manly do have a solid enough team and they've improved their 5'8" situation, but that's also a bit of a sketchy situation too with Luke Brooks. And I think that, Manly could definitely improve, which would then thus help Jake Trbojevic to become the player that he once was. But like I said before, I do think the game has gone in a little bit of a different direction to what Jakey T has benefited from in the past. But we'll put him, so I'm putting him above Corey Horsbrough though, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. All right.
Yep.
We go to a one here that is probably in a very similar situation to what we just spoke about with Jake Trbojevic. Is Jason Taumalolo here from the Cowboys. For a very long time, Taumalolo was clearly the best lock in the game. Like, he was an absolute barnstormer. But the game has gone away from him a little bit. The game has gone away, and I don't know if it's just a recency bias thing with last year's 2023 Cowboys, but I just don't see, and I don't even think that 2022, when they had that massive year, was realistically down to Taumalolo. I think that was down to guys like Ruben Cotter, Reece Robson, Chad Townsend, Tommy Dearden, Scotty Drinkwater, those kind of guys really, turning it up, and Val Holmes. I didn't really see a great deal of people talking specifically as if it was Jason Taumalolo, and then they're using him in different minutes, like off the bench, and then like a 20-minute stint and 40-minute stint, and it's just a little bit confusing up there from Toddy Payton and the Cowboys with Taumalolo. Where are you putting him? For me, I'm probably looking around whether I put him above or below Jakey Trbojevic.
Okay, so Cowboys fans probably won't like this. And look, I agree. Yeah, he was definitely probably 2020, 2021. He was definitely up there around the best lock in the entire NRL.
I'd say he was the best back then.
Yeah, yep. But I think injuries have definitely hurt him a bit over the last few years as well. Like, I think he missed quite a bit of footy last year with injury.
Maybe, yeah.
But I can't put him above Jake.
I've put him below Horsbrough.
I think he could nearly mount an argument that he's
below Jermaine Hopgood.
Yes.
I just think the reason why I push back on that is that you've still seen the history from Taumalolo that has proven that it's not just a 1 year thing with him. Like he could definitely still get back to it this year. Obviously, not getting. He's getting on an age now, and Jermaine Hopgood again will have for me a big year this year. But because Taumalolo has had such a successful history, I don't think that 1 year is enough for me to say Jermaine Hopgood is in a better situation going forward, or just in general than Taumalolo. But I can hear the argument for it for sure. Yeah. I just don't think that right at this current stage, I can see myself putting Taumalolo behind a guy that has had one really solid year.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
But Cowboys fans won't like that he's that low, but they should hopefully understand it as well. Because like if they go into the end of the video and see it there, they'll be like, oh, these guys muppets. But if they actually listen to what we have to say, then yeah, let us know in the Premier chat right now or in the comment section with how much you agree with us, please. But all right, we'll go now into where are we? Jazz Tevaga for the Warriors. The guy plays a bit of hooker, a bit of lock. What do you thoughts on Jazz Tevaga?
I really like Jazz Tevaga. I think he is another one similar to Dylan Walker that is just an incredible utility off the bench. You know, you could definitely put him anywhere in that forward pack and he'll do a good job for you. I would actually this, and you probably will disagree, but I would probably have him over Jai Arrow.
Well, when I put him just in there just right this second, I actually had him above McInnes, below Jai Arrow, but I'm happy to move him to above Jai Arrow, simply because he probably does play more lock than Jai does. And I think the Jazz is a bit of a tackle machine as well. And I like it. I don't disagree with that at all, to be completely honest with you. I was thinking, yeah, based on the Titans days at lock and Queensland days at lock, I like Jai Arrow more, but obviously they're a long time in between drinks. So I'm happy to put Jazz Tevaga there, and I wouldn't even say no to putting Jazz above Erin Clark at the moment, to be completely honest with you. But I think that Erin probably has more of an opportunity being that lock this year than you'll see from Jazz Tevaga, simply because you've got Tohu Harris that we'll get to soon, who is the main lock there. So yeah, we'll chuck him there. For me, I think right now, like every time you do a T list, there's a real middle point and it hasn't been as obvious in this one, but I'd say that either Connor Watson or McInnes is currently the middle of the entirety of the T list. And yeah, a lot of the time you'll focus on that kind of thing. So yeah, I'd say, would you say McInnes or Watson is the dead set middle of this T list right now?
I would probably say Watson's probably right in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because yeah, usually that's a lot of players when you're trying to look for a middle ground, you find that one player. And for me, it's either Watson or McInnes, but yeah, Watson's probably that guy. I agree with you. But all right, we'll go to Joe Ofahengaue here. But about all these wheels, he was at the Tigers, and I think he was at the Broncos at one stage too. Where he's been in a lot of teams actually. Ofahengaue.
Yeah.
He is now, like I said, at the Eels, but he went there and he got injured in the first couple of games. Like he had a good couple of games and then got injured, and which was really disappointing because he would have really helped him there. I'm not really too sure to say on Ofahengaue. I think that it's probably going to be somewhere into the job, but what would you say?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's played for Queensland too. So
he has, yeah.
Like, yeah, he's like he's definitely not a bad player, but yeah.
He's never really cemented himself a spot, like overall, like a consistent spot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to say because recently, like I especially with the Tigers, like I didn't really think to the back end of his career with the Tigers, he was all that great. Like I definitely think he needs to be not that great part. But
I've definitely got him to do the job. I'm just trying to figure out kind of where I would look. I'd probably be looking. I'd probably look around that again. This is what I'm talking about, that middle section around that kind of Watson McInnes kind of area.
I was actually thinking smack bang in the middle of the two, right? Between the two,
but I will ask you, like, if you're doing a draft today, like an American style draft, are you taking McInnes or are you taking Ofahengaue?
See, the thing is, I'm big on defense.
Okay,
I love defense. So I would be taking McInnes over Ofahengaue.
Mate, defense wins championships, mate. Defense wins championships. So that is it's a good ideology to have, and that's something that I hope Desi is implementing at the Titans this year, because it's always been about attack on the Gold Coast. Exciting place to live, the Gold Coast. Usually an exciting team to watch attack, but not an exciting team to watch defend. So that's got nothing to do with it. I'm going on a tangent. But hey, it's my channel. I go on Titans tangents all the time. But all right, so yeah, we'll chuck in between McInnes and kind of Watson. All right, we go to the Raiders now, and we've got Big Joe Tapine here, who has obviously been in the lock, is now with Corey Horsbrough really, evolutionising. He has gone into the front row, which has been a really good move for him. And I've got him as Supercoach as my first lock, as my first front rower. And in the front rower category, he's probably going to go into the top end of quality. I don't know if he's in elite just yet, but I think top end of quality for Tapine in the front row. When it comes to the lock department, I still would have him in quality for sure. I personally do believe that Horsbrough is a better lock. I do. I think Horsbrough is a better lock, and that's why he's there. I would probably look around, maybe put him above Belin in the lock department.
Yeah, look, I would probably agree with that. I think definitely somewhere. I can't have him above Taumalolo. And I'd be hesitant to put him above Hopgood. I mean, I could see an argument for above Hopgood. I could, but
there's definitely an argument for it. But I just think that a Hopgood, his pure position is the lock, whilst you've got Tapine, who was lock but now is front row.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. You could probably mount that same argument for Belin as well. To be fair, it's tough. See, because personally, if we were doing front rowers, I would probably have him elite as a front rower, because I think that with like your New South Wales and your Queenslanders, I think they get looked upon higher than your Tapine, because stuff, yeah. But I think Tapine is one of the best front rowers in the NRL. But for me, I would probably have Tapine. I'd put him in between Hopgood and Belin for me.
Yeah, that's why I put him there. I like that thought process, to be honest with you. I do think that, again, if I'm taking a draft tomorrow, I'd probably, if I need a pure lock, I would take Hopgood, and then I would take Tapine, and then I would take Belin. I think that's fair enough. But Raiders fans, don't cry. He'll be a lot higher when it comes to the front row category, and he's still in quality. So this isn't even an insult at all. He's still in the quality section. But all right, so we'll go now into a guy who's new at the Canterbury Bulldogs. It is Joshy Curran, who was at the Warriors and now has gone to the Doggies and trying to help them out, and they need all the help they can get. Josh Curran had that one really good year in that lock department, and then I think it was 2022, and then 2023 we didn't really see a great deal from him. Maybe he was injured, or it just wasn't really going to plan. They had a couple of they had Toll Harris as lock, and then Josh Curran was playing back row, but there was also Murata Niokore and the Jackson Ford as well. And I don't know, he just didn't really get to kick on with what he did in 2022. I think that as a lock, I would be putting him at the top end, higher end of do the job.
Yeah. Although I just...
Are you thinking quality?
No. Yeah. No, see, look, I genuinely...
I was going to say the Bulldogs fans have gotten India. The Bulldogs fans have gotten India if you put him in quality.
No, look, we just haven't seen enough of him. Don't get me wrong, 2022, he was incredible. And I don't know if it was a discipline thing last year with the Warriors that's the reason that things didn't work out, because I was expecting to see a lot more of him in 2023, but now he gets an opportunity with the Bulldogs. I'm going to assume he is their starting lock. But I can't have him over Finucane. I probably wouldn't put him over.
I can't have him above Finucane for sure. No way.
And my reasoning for not putting him above Tevaga is I think Tevaga had a lot more opportunity than him with the Warriors last year. We saw a lot more from Tevaga, and I probably would trust Tevaga a lot more than Curran. From what we've seen with the small sample size we've seen of Curran. I would probably, I would even maybe argue below Erin Clark. And I know Doggies fans are
Oh,
going
so
to go,
you've got Jack Savanga below Ez right now.
no, sorry. I've got Jazz Tavanga just ahead of Ez.
Okay, well, we'll switch that around because I thought we had Tevaga below Erin, so we'll switch that around. For some reason, my computer's going a little bit slow right now, folks, so do forgive. But yeah, okay, so you're saying that Curran should go below Erin Clark, above Jairo,
Correct. Yeah, that's where I would have him.
or are you saying? You're saying okay. Um, as a like, if you're talking, I actually like Josh Curran as a back rower. I think that yeah, gone.
I agree. That's when I see Josh Curran, I think back rower. That's yeah, but
Yeah, he's a hard one, to be completely honest with you. Like, Dogs fans will call me biased for putting him below Ez, to be honest with you. But then again, I get called biased regardless of what I say. Like, honestly, guys, jump in the chat, jump in the comment section, let us know. I will. Yeah, I personally see him more as a back rower personally. Again, show us it this year. I would love to see Josh Curran do it this year. Doesn't have a great necessarily forward pack around him. It's quite a small forward pack, the Doggies, in 2024. But it'll be interesting to see how he goes, man. And I am actually excited to see how Josh Curran goes. To be fair, we should actually probably put him above Erin based on the fact that he will start as the 13 there. But
true.
With that being said, if you put Erin Clark into that Dogs team and you've got Josh Curran there as well, I personally think they do put Josh Curran alongside Viliami Kikau in the back. Who's their back row right now?
Preston and Kikau.
Oh, Jacob Preston and Kikau.
Yeah.
No, yeah, so Josh Curran wouldn't get there. I do think that, mate, like, if you put Erin Clark in that Dogs team, do you think Josh Curran or Erin Clark gets the spot?
Man, that is a tough question.
I reckon I would probably just, and this is, trying to be as unbiased as possible, I would probably just lean with Josh Curran. I probably would just lean with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, put them on top of each other, guys. Like, literally put them on top of each other because, it's a really interesting one there. So let us know in the comment section what your thoughts are. But I had to really rack my brain for that one just then, man. I was really trying to rack my brain. All right, let's go to the Melbourne Storm. And we've got Josh King, who normally when you go to the Melbourne Storm, you say bang, quality or bang, elite. But with Joshy King, Craig Bellamy really believes in him. And it's like Trent Loiero, like those two guys, the fans don't really rate, but Craig Bellamy rates. And I trust Craig Bellamy over the fans, to be honest with you. I would still have him absolutely do the job. And he is a starting 13 for a pretty solid team that made the top 4, even though I think that spine really carries the Storm. I think outside the spine, they're a little bit lackluster, and that includes Joshy King. But I do think that regardless of that, he's still to do the job. And I do think that he'd probably go above. I would personally put him above Ofahengaue, below McInnes.
Yeah. See, it's tough because I think Josh King is he's perfect for do the job because that's exactly what he does. He's not needed to be this, superstar player for the Melbourne Storm. Like, he literally just does the job. But
maybe above Liu, below Adam Elliott.
I think you're right. I think McInnes and Ofahengaue. I think between them, I think that is. I would probably put him there.
Well, yeah, it's just that at least he is that starting 13 for the Storm. Like, he does have that that real backing from one of the best coaches of all time, that he is the guy there. And again, like you said, he is a do the job player, quality player in the do the job category. And he does it. Yeah, he's just one of those real kind of mid ranges. We'll put him. Oh wait, so we're putting him above or below Ofahengaue?
Man, this is tough too, because if you put it this way, Melbourne Storm sign Ofahengaue. Who starts, King or Ofahengaue?
Ofahengaue starts.
So I would probably put him between behind Ofahengaue.
Yeah, but the thing is that to go against that argument too, I think Adam Elliott probably starts over Josh King if he's there. I think Connor Watson does. And I do think Isaac Liu starts, but I don't think that Dylan Walker starts over Josh King. So it makes it even harder.
It's true, true, true.
I think we just leave him there right now. I could dead set make the argument that Josh King probably should just be above Walker, but I'm happy to leave him below Ofahengaue. But based off of the argument that you just said there, you could make the argument that he's just above Walker. Because do you disagree that Adam Elliott, Isaac Liu, Connor Watson would all start above him?
To be honest, I probably think that King starts over Watson just because I see Watson of more a utility hooker off the bench. I don't think Watson would start for the Storm at lock if they did sign him. But I do think Liu and Elliott probably do start over him.
I agree. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. Be interesting to see what you guys have to say. Let's go now into my boy, Keenan Barasia, who was at the Broncos, now the Gold Coast Titans. I don't think that he's going to be playing lock this year. I don't think he's a massive ball player. Like, I know a lot of people do have that ideology of him, but he had a massive year, back end of the year, finals campaign for the Broncos, and was one of their best players that doesn't really get talked about. But I think he doesn't get talked about because of the fact that he left the Broncos to go to the Titans before the season even started. So, you know, for me, in the front row category, I've got him as a bolter for my Supercoach team this year. I've got him as an absolute bolter to have a big year because I personally believe that the guy that we'll get to for the Titans soon will be the lock. But for me, Keenan Barasia as a lock, I think you're definitely going to be putting him as the do the job category. I don't think it's going to be crazy deal high. I do have Erin Clark above him at the Titans. And I think that, honestly, Desi probably puts Isaac Liu above him at the Titans, but that's not meaning that I'm going to put Keenan all the way down there. As a front rower, he'll probably go into the top end of the do the job because he's still got a bit to prove or even right at the bottom end quality. Don't think he's there just yet. But right this second, looking at this list, I would put Barasia maybe... As a lock, I would put him above Josh King, below Ofahengaue, or above Ofahengaue, below McInnes.
Yeah, I would. That's exactly what I was thinking. Was Ofahengaue and McInnes straight in the middle of them.
Oh, what did you think of him last year?
Oh, I thought he was incredible for the Broncos, but I do see him more as a front row forward than I do a lock. And yeah, I think the Titans have sniped a really good player. I really do. I think he's going to be a bloody good player, especially off the bench for the Titans. And it's something that they've kind of needed is someone like Barasia off the bench for them. So
just a little bit of a hinted word here, man. I'm pretty certain he'll be starting in the front row. I can tell you that.
Okay. I suppose, yeah.
This video probably comes out probably more towards the middle of February. So I'm pretty certain that people will kind of have a good idea by then.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. So yeah, Keenan Barasia there in the front row. I think he probably goes higher into the job, to the top end kind of area. But for the time being, we chuck him here in the lock. We'll go back to the Broncos now. It is Kobe Hetherington who... I don't think he's the guy. I think that he has his little moments, but I personally don't see him as the guy. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree. And I've heard people saying that he's apparently could be starting for the Broncos at lock and they moved Carrigan up to the front row. I disagree. I think I don't rate Hetherington. I really don't. I think he's probably all right, but I think the Broncos have better forwards that could definitely make the 17 over him, if I'm being honest. So
I don't think that he's going to get the lock position. And I think we all know why. But I would either put him above Dylan Walker into the job or above Hame Sele. Not that great.
It's
I'll let you make the decision. Above Dylan Walker into the job or above Hame Sele in not that great?
Put him in do the job. You
just don't want the Broncos fans coming after you, isn't that right?
I cop it left, right, and center from Broncos fans. So they'll come at me regardless of where. I could probably put him in elite, and they'll still call me an idiot. Broncos fans, I love yous.
Yeah. We'll try being target number one at Suncorp Stadium. Try doing that one. But all right, we'll put him into the back end to the job. We put him. Dylan Walker is a weird one. Like, I think you just leave him as do the job, the right back end, the last player into the job, regardless of who comes. That's why I said either above Walker or above Hame Sele, not below Walker. So
Yeah.
there we go. All right, we'll go to Kurt Mann now, who is at the Doggy Wolf Wolf. He was at the Knights originally. Now he's at the Bulldogs. I think that he's kind of just the epitome of a do-the-job player as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think you could probably put him towards the back end of do the job with Dylan Walker. I don't know if you think he should be higher than that, but
I'm not going to lie to you. I probably think I'd put him above Kobe Hetherington.
and that's fair. I don't really see Kurt Mann as a lock.
It's more just a 14 kind of deal.
Yeah.
And more really of a hooker is what you're saying, yeah?
Yeah. Or even, he could definitely slot into the halves as well.
Yeah. I think we put him, I'm okay. You know what? We'll put him below Hetherington, at least because Hetherington, that is his position of 13.
Yeah.
And Kurt Mann is a very similar player to Walker. We could play multiple positions, but I do have Kurt Mann above Walker specifically as a lock. I do think he played mostly lock when he was at the Knights overall. But we'll put him there. All right, now we'll go into the Dolphins, which I believe will be a bit of a quick one here. And it's Mason Teague, who I think goes into Unproven. Would you disagree?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Unproven's fair for him.
I'd put him above Hohepa Puru because at least we've heard a little bit of... I think Mason Teague actually played a couple of games last year for the Dolphins. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, no, definitely. He's definitely played quite a few games for the Dolphins, I believe.
Mason Teague, he has played... No, I don't want your Instagram. Give me your wiki. Oh, my goodness. So there it is. Mason Teague... Because he's only 20 years old, 21 years old. He played 7 games from last year. So, yeah, definitely Unproven. And he's only 20 years old. So, he's got so much to go. Yeah, looking forward to that one. All right, we've got to Matty Eisenhuth here for the Panthers. I think he does a job when he comes on for the Panthers. Obviously, isn't their lock. Obviously, that's Isaiah Yeo. But Matty Eisenhuth is just a guy that I think that will just go straight into that do the job category. I'd still put him above a couple of guys here. But what are your thoughts on Eisenhuth?
Look, I don't mind Eisenhuth. I think, as you said, he does the job. I would probably put him above Hetherington, but I don't think I could put him above players like Elliott or Liu or Watson for me.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that one. And especially considering that he doesn't really get too much of a crack. Like, he'll come off the bench and whatnot, but he doesn't get too much of a crack because Isaiah Yeo is a long-standing minute player. So he'll play the whole game. He'll play 80, like Isaiah Yeo. Like, he'll just play the whole game. So you don't really get to see him a great deal there. And at least... Yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd put him there, which is weird to put a Panthers player as low as he is, but it's the right call, to be completely honest with you. Yeah. Let's move now into my boy. He used to play with the Gold Coast Titans, know Maxie and his family well. Max King here from the Bulldogs, who for me is a front rower. Has played lock at the Storm, has played lock at the Titans, has played lock at the Doggies, but now is the front rower and is actually their primo front rower, which is crazy enough to say because I am going to put Maxie King in to do the job. And I think that he is a real solid do-the-job player. And I think that I've loved watching him progress from, he didn't find his feet at the Titans. He didn't find his feet at the Storm, definitely not. But he has found his feet here at the Doggies and they love him there. So I'm so happy for Maxie. But I would probably put him in the lock category. I'd probably put him a little bit lower than what I put him into the front rowers. But I would say as a lock, Maxie King, kind of around that Josh King area.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd probably have him above Watson. But yeah, I think
have to remember though, this is lock and not front row.
True. Yeah, good point.
Because it's very easy to forget that, like I did with Connor Watson before.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I personally have Max King below Josh King, above Connor Watson for lock.
That's exactly where I've put him.
Yeah.
So I think
I just don't think there's an insane amount of I wouldn't even say no to putting Maxie King above Josh King, to be completely honest with you. I just think that there's not with Max and with Josh. Josh probably has a little bit more of a passing game in him. It's nothing spectacular, but he has a little bit more. Whilst Max is just to run that ball damn well straight up the guts, son, and just shove it down their throats kind of deal, rather than run it up the guts and then look for a pass. I do see maybe a little bit more of that from Josh King, so that's why I'd probably be a little bit more inclined to put him just above him.
Yep, I'm happy to do that.
Sweet as. All right, we go to the New Zealand Wars, the New Zealand Warriors, Mitchell Barnett, who is more of a back rower, to be completely honest with you, but obviously did play a bit of lock at the Knights. I think he was at. Was he the Knights beforehand?
Newcastle.
Yeah. Mitchell Barnett is a solid enough player. As a lock, though, as a lock specifically, I'm probably looking towards a bit of a lower end of the job. And I'm noticing here with this tier list that you're seeing a lot of do the job players, which is good because sometimes you can actually, like wingers, there is a polar big difference between a quality winger and a not that great winger. But I don't think there is a massive difference between Hame, Sele, Fonua Pole, and Alec MacDonald here. Two guys like a Kurt Mann, a Kobe Hetherington, those kind of guys. I don't think there's a massive insult here for the not that great overall, comparatively to like a winger who you can have some really poor wingers and like a long list of them. This one, they're just all and pretty much do the job. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Mitchell Barnett at the Wars?
Oh, mate, he's an absolute weapon of a player. But as you said, I don't see Mitchy Barnett as like, even at the Knights, it was definitely more of a second rower. And then now transitioning, I believe.
He kicks as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Mitchy does. Yeah. So I think I see him more as a front row forward second rower more than a lock. He's definitely in do the job. He's played enough lock to warrant do the job, in my opinion. Unless you disagree, but
no, I'm just my face right now. I'm just looking to see where I'd put him into the job. My focus point right now is probably around that Isaac Liu, Adam Elliott kind of area.
I'd probably have him behind Elliott.
I'd put him above Liu. Yes, I would. Yeah, I would. I think there's less errors in Barnett's game than Liu, but I do think that if you're taking them at their prime, I'm taking Liu every day of the week. If you're taking prime Liu, you're getting top quality. But obviously, we're not at prime Liu anymore. So for me, I'd probably put Barnett just above and below Adam Elliott.
Yep, I think that's fine.
There we go. All right, we are on to the final straight here, folks. We get to the final. Well, there's still probably about 15 odd players to go, but it's the final straight. So hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new around here. And now let's crack on. Morgan Smithies for the Raiders. Pretty certain this is going to be a pretty quick one here as well, man. This is going to go straight into Unproven, but has the opportunity in 2024, apparently. They are looking at him to maybe be an extra bench spot or, try and get him to the forwards.
Yep.
Do you agree?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've watched a few highlights from him, and I think he'll be a good player for the Raiders. But again, like we've seen Super League players kill it over there, come over here and not live up to the hype. So I think Unproven's fine for now. Like we obviously haven't seen enough or anything of him in the NRL to put him any higher than that.
Yeah, I'd put him above Hohepa Puru, and I would put him below Mason Teague because Teague's played some games. Morgan Smithies has some good raps on him, but and I've heard him more than Puru and Faagutu. But obviously definitely Unproven, but I would say that based off of, I guess, the raps that you hear, and Unproven, you can kind of only go based off of what the general consensus word is, because again, we don't actually specifically watch all those real youth games, especially in like Canberra comps and whatnot, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how Morgan Smithies goes, but I do hear some good news about him. Another one here, another little quick one, is going to be Miles Martin, who plays for the Newcastle Knights. I would say I haven't heard anything about Miles Martin. Just straight into Unproven, and I honestly I don't really kind of care where he goes above or below Chris Faagutu, just because I haven't heard either of them.
Same, I'm with you.
But we got to put him above him because he's got some luxurious hair, mate. He's got some luxurious hair on him. Good on you, Miles. Good on you. Now we're talking a bit of the old mullet. Brings the newie. But all right, we go to the Roosters now. Nat Butcher, who, again, I don't see him as a lock. I see him as a back rower. I see him absolutely as a back rower, and I loved Nat Butcher in the back row. I'm not even too sure why he's here because I don't even know has he played a game in the lock position, because we all know that, Radley is their guy. You let me know what your thoughts on Nat Butcher are in the lock, and I'll have a look if he's even played there.
I don't think he has played there, unless he's played there when Radley was suspended or injured. I don't know, but definitely not my first thought when I when I hear a lock, that's for sure.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one here. Okay, so let's go have a look at positions played. He has played, he's played 25 games in lock. So second row, he's played
Okay.
56 appearances for 15 tries, which is a good strike rate for a back row, to be fair.
Yeah.
And then 25 appearances for 5 tries as the lock. But he wins a lot of games as a back rower. He does not win a lot. He's actually played a bit of front row too. He's only played 3 games, but yeah, I always just saw him as a straight up back rower there at the Chooks. As a lock, he still played 25 games. I guess I just have to put him into the unproven section. Not the unproven section, the do the job section.
Yep.
I would take kind of Watson over him as a lock. I would take Adam Elliott over him as a lock. I'd probably put Nat Butcher down quite low into the job.
Yeah.
Like as a back rower, he's probably going top end to do the job, if not even potentially even lower end of quality, but probably more so top end to do the job. I just think that as a lock, I just see him as an edge.
No, I agree.
I'd maybe put him. You know what? I think we put him down that back end with Dylan Walker and Kurt Mann, but above those two, just because for me, I don't see him. Like I could easily put him last and do the job just because he's not a lock for me. He is just straight up a back rower. So are you happy to put Dylan Walker above him?
It's hard, man. It's hard because
I think that. Look, putting that, it's a bit of a whatever here because again, he don't really play there. I think we put him. Like I said, we'll leave Dylan Walker as the last player there and Kurt Mann as second last. We'll put Nat Butcher in third last.
That's where I had him.
Yeah, I think that's fine. But again, guys, like we're just kind of going based off of whatever there because even though he's played 25 games a lock, we don't see him as a lock at all. We see him as a back rower. But all right, we'll go now into the big fella from the Brisbane Broncos and Queensland. And obviously incoming there with Australia, Paddy Carrigan. I think this is pretty simple, man. I've been putting him into elite, but I'd love to see where you'd put him in elite.
I hate doing this, but I think that he is the second best
in
the NRL. I do.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
I do. I know. And I love Camo. I really do. But I just think that, I think Paddy Carrigan's I think he's the second best lock in the NRL at this point of time. I think he is.
Wow, that is such a big call, man. I don't mind it. I put him straight into third, but I was going to listen to you to see what your thoughts were. That's why I didn't want to give too many kind of hints away because I wanted to hear your unbiased thoughts based off of not hearing what I had to say. Yeah. Personally, I can see it. Like if I'm taking a draft right this second, I do think that I like a bit of Paddy Carrigan, the toughness with the resilience, with the way that he does carry himself there at the Bronx. I would say based off of history, you definitely have Cameron Murray as second. But I think based off of going into this year, also Paddy Carrigan has had some real solid years. I think that Cameron Murray gets detracted as well from the fact that he does play more of the back row when it comes to the rep games for New South Wales and for Australia because of Isaiah Yeo, whilst Paddy Carrigan does get that 13, that lock position there for the Queenslanders. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And that's going to be crazy. I can tell you right now, you might cop a bit of flack from your own fan base in that one. I know what fans can be like, and especially, when, it's a big kind of battle between Yo and Murray. But I don't disagree with you. And, hey, take that one, Broncos. Can't call me biased because I'm okay putting him second.
Mate, I'm used to copping flack from Rabbitohs fans. Trust me.
Hey, you're used to you'll cop the flack from the Rabbitohs fans, but I'm getting off the hook from the Broncos fans. How good's that? How good's that? You can take all the bullshit, man. Take it all. But yeah, look, controversial for sure. I think that's I don't have Paddy Carrigan above Isaiah Yeo yet, especially with 3 premierships, the World Cup, all that as the lock there in Yeo. But I would not put it past Carrigan getting above him in the next year or two. Probably 2 years it would take for him to get above Yeo for mine, based off of those 3 premierships. But if the Broncos won a premiership, would you say Carrigan could potentially go above Yeo next year?
No. I don't think yet. I don't think. Although in saying that though, I mean, Carrigan's also done it in the rep arena too. So
Well, he's probably got more of a successful rep career through Queensland and New South Wales, like as in Origin. Not so much Australia just yet, but I'd say that Carrigan probably has a more successful career through Queensland.
Yep, I'd agree. So it's tough, but look, I think you could nearly mount an argument for all these three to be number one.
Yeah, you could.
Like it's
You can make an argument for it, but I do think that Yo is. You know what's crazy about this, right? Is that I would say that Yo is number one, but I would say that Murray is closer to Yo, overtaking Yo. Murray is closer. But I do think that I agree with Carrigan being above Murray, and I think that Carrigan has a lot more to prove than Murray to get above Yo. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like a bit of a triangle effect there.
Absolutely. I will say that, when you look at it, 2023 was a pretty poor year for Cameron Murray because he fell out of the top 8 with South Sydney. He lost the Origin series, and the Kangaroos got belted by the Kiwis late in the year as well. So he didn't really have that great of a year. In terms of success, like, don't get me wrong, he's an absolute weapon of a player, but I don't know. I just think that as it stands, Yo Carrigan above Murray. And I know I'm going to cop it from my own fan base. I know I'm fully aware of that, but look, I came on to here and I said to myself, I wasn't going to be biased except for putting Tallis Duncan number one, but but
no, being biased doesn't really get you far, man. Like, people can see right through it. At the end of the day, you got to be, and look at me. Like, I'm not a fan of the Broncos at all, but yet I'm happy to put Carrigan there. I'm happy to try and remove my bias to create better content and better videos for people to actually have a bit of analysis and opinion on it, rather than me just saying, oh, Paddy Carrigan, he plays for the Broncos, Wank, put him at the bottom and not that great. Which then everyone's just like, well, that's not true, man. That's just stupid. And why would they ever care about listening to my opinion? So for me, it's like, although I have my personal biases, I would love to put, Tino first and Elite. The fact of the matter is that, it probably still goes in the league. We'll get into it in a second. But at the point, he won't go top. He won't go number one because that's Desire Yo. But yeah, I feel like you just have to be, if you're going to be a content creator, man, there's real no point being completely and utterly biased. You have to have a realistic viewpoint. Otherwise, people just won't care personally. So absolutely. I think it's a really good thing for you. I think a lot of people will respect that you're able to say that Paddy Carrigan right now is above Cameron Murray. But all right, I think we move on now and we'll go to Ray Stone here for the Dolphins. Obviously, he was at the Eels, had a bit of a mare in that Eels-Panthers game. Dolphins, I think, got injured. He also got injured at the Eels. Got a bit of an injury bug, actually, the old Ray Stone. Big, heavy tackler, but not the greatest. Where are you putting him into the job?
I would probably have him, if I'm being honest, I'd probably have him above Hetherington, at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Just because especially when he started, like early in the year with the Dolphins, he was actually pretty good.
Yeah, he was solid, yeah.
Yeah. So
I'd probably put him above Matty Eisenhuth. I think that he's probably got more of an opportunity at the Dolphins too to prove himself. And I do think there's probably enough there. I do think that Isaac Liu is still probably a guy that I do like over Stone, but I think that might be the perfect position for him between Isaac Liu and Matty Eisenhuth.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
All right. Now we'll go to Ryan Madison here for the bottom of the squeals. And he is a lock, but it's mainly a back rower and mainly a bench back rower or a starting back rower. It doesn't really matter. Mainly back row, but definitely more of a lock than what I would see from Nat Butcher from what we got there before. Yeah. I think that when it comes to being a back rower, I think that Ryan Maddow is definitely quality. And Rando and I believe that would have come out by now. We put him into quality. As a lock, I think that he's probably still at the top end of the job. You could even make the argument for probably maybe even below Jack de Belin there, or even above Jack de Belin, to be fair. But I think that it's a bit of a hard one here because he is a bit of a 50-50 in lock and back row. I'd probably still actually aim towards putting him below de Belin or above de Belin.
I probably can't put him above de Belin. But I'd be happy to put him below de Belin.
I think he is a guy that I would prefer. Okay, if I'm taking a draft, I'm taking Madison over Finucane. Storm Finucane, I'll take Finucane over Ryan Madison. But Sharks Finucane, I'm taking Madison over Finucane. And I do think that Maddo is still a very, very solid lock that will get the job done at a quality level and is just simply a quality player that can provide a lot of actually experience in a lot of positions. He played about 5'8" last year too, actually. So yeah, I think he's definitely in quality. In the second row department, he probably goes a little bit higher. He did go a little bit higher, but as a lock, yeah, a bit of ball playing, bit of something. Yeah, I think that's fine there. So we're putting him right at the back end of quality, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I've got him. Yeah.
All right. I know I'm going to have to, I know where we're going to put him at the end of the day, Tallis Duncan from the Rabbitohs, but I would love to hear your spiel on him before we do put him into Unproven.
Yeah, look, I think Tallis is going to be, I genuinely believe this kid is going to be elite one day. I really do. And I think that we will see him take a lot of lock minutes off Cameron Murray in 2024. Ooh. Now, honestly, because I think Cameron Murray will transition into not so much a full-time second rower in 2023 and 2024, but I do think Tallis Duncan will eventually play a bit of lock in 2024 with Cameron Murray getting a bit of a breather from lock and playing in the second row. Yeah, I think Tallis Duncan will be an elite level player one day, but for now we haven't seen enough of it. Obviously, like the small sample size we got last year was incredible for Tallis Duncan. Like he was brilliant in the games that he played. But yeah, look, he's definitely unproven. I'd love to put him in elite. I really, really would, but obviously we're not doing that. But yeah, he's definitely unproven. But I do see a massive upside with Tallis Duncan. He's training the house down with South at the moment too, getting fit. And he's a Queenslander as well. So
is he really?
He is. He is a Queenslander. So
get around it. Beautiful. I love that. What I was saying on Tallis Duncan is that I thought he was absolutely amazing when he came in and had, I think it was that try against the Bulldogs, was it?
Yes, off the kickoff. Yeah,
it was an amazing try last year. Obviously, it's definitely an unproven. I do have him right at the top of unproven, though. I think that he is a guy that I 100% have put straight into my Supercoach team for this year. I think that he's going to be, I think, only 330,000 or something like that. And that's a guy I want in my team as a cheapie and will get some good minutes. But yeah, I think he's fit. I think he runs hard. I think that he looks like just a tough unit. And I'm really excited for him too. Like, I'm not going to say he can't be an elite. Obviously, that's not what I'm thinking because I'm not a Rabbitohs fan. But with that being said, like, I do think that Tallis Duncan can be a superb player. And there's nothing holding him back from being a part of that 3-man category right now, about to be 4-man category in the elite. But yeah, Tallis Duncan is a good player. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can provide in 2024. All right, here we go. We got Big Tino, Faagutu Malawi. What a beautiful man. He's an absolute beautiful man. And what a player. Obviously, has been playing in the front row for us for this year and is definitely going to be in the elite category for front rower. And to be completely honest with you, I think that he's fourth in elite. I think he's 100% fourth in elite, played Queensland in the lock department. I don't think he's played international in the lock department, but he plays in the front row there. I do think that he is a better front rower than he is a lock, but I do think that they're pretty much in the exact same kind of situation, whether you play him in the lock or the front row. And Tino will more than likely play our lock position this year for the Titans, I believe. So, like, if you want to bump me down to the top of quality, I'll listen to it. But I do genuinely believe that he is an elite caliber lock. With that being said, I definitely have Murray, Carrigan, and Yo as a lock above him.
I agree completely. I think he is a top 5 lock in the NRL. I've got him in elite. I probably wouldn't listen to too many people that told me he's a quality player because I think he's elite. I really do. I just think
it's no matter whether he plays front row or lock, you still kind of see the same production out of him. But when you're getting that lock, he is also getting that passing ability too, which could really help with the likes of Dave Fafita, Bowie Firma, this year, getting a bit of a nice little offload as Davey just goes bang right down the line. So, yeah, I'm really opening up again to the lock position for Tino. I actually had a conversation with Justin Holbrook, not last year, the year before, I think it was at an event, and we were talking privately, and I said, hey, listen, I reckon that Tino is probably more of a front rower because I would rather him just kind of take away one of those for me, because Tino's a captain, right? So I don't want him to be distracted by captaincy, then also having that pass playing, and then also having that ball running. And there's just so much stuff going on. You can get quite confused with that. But with that's why I said I think that he probably deserves to be more a front rower. but I am definitely opening up with the maturity that he's coming up with. He's getting older now that he can take on more of a workload. And that's why I do still call him an elite lock, because I do believe he will be massive this year. And when he does get called a lock, I think it was lock to start in one of the Queensland games this year. I think I think they did in game 2 or game 1.
Yep. No, I'm pretty sure you're right. I'm pretty confident in saying you're right with that one.
And then Carrigan might have come in, or I can't remember. But yeah, so I'm glad you don't disagree with me on that one. I'm pretty obviously passionate about what Tino can provide. And we'll put him into the elite category, but below Murray. All right. I just realized I've got to swap the page over here. We've got the final 6 players here, guys. And we've got Tohu Harris for the New Zealand Warriors, who I don't think there's an argument that he can't, like, he has to be in quality. He just has to be in quality. A guy that has done it for so long now, whether it be the Melbourne Storm or the New Zealand Warriors, just such a quality player. But where in quality do you think he goes?
I actually disagree.
Oh, you say elite.
I do. I genuinely think Tohu, this is the same argument I have with players like Joe Tapine. I think they get lost in not playing Origin. I really, really do. I think Tohu Harris I think he's a top 5 lock in the NRL. I genuinely believe that.
The thing is, right, is that I will agree with you and say that I think he's a top 5 lock in the NRL, but I would probably put him above Jakey Trbojevic rather than below Tino.
No, I genuinely, it's hard. It's hard.
Okay, I'll listen to you. Like, I'll put him. I'm happy to put him there, but I would like you to explain why you think that he is in the elite category rather than the top end, right? The top end of quality, because it's the same position. It is the same. It's like literally the same person, right? It's top 5. Just one's in elite, one's in quality. I just think that personally, you think of guys like Isaiah Yeo, Paddy Carrigan, Cameron Murray, Tina Fa'asuamaleaui. Those guys are X Factor. Well, not maybe Yo X Factor, but like overall, they've got X Factor, they've got defense, they've got attack, they've got the proven track record, which I guess you could make an argument for with Tohu Harris as well. But then you could also make that argument with Jakey Trbojevic, right? And that's why I said there's a chance that you could put him quality or elite. I think that Tohu Harris is above Jake Trbojevic. And like I said, I'm happy to put him on either side of elite or quality. And if you're that passionate about it, we'll do it. But just why do you think that he's amongst those 4 guys there in elite?
Okay, you make a good point there. You do. But I mean, like, it's not only he had success last season with the Warriors. Obviously, Sean Johnson was another big reason why they were successful last year. But
it's definitely part of it.
Yeah, he's the leader for that club, and we also saw success through the Kiwis last year as well with him. Like, it's not only the Warriors that he's helped with last year. The Kiwis is another one, but it's hard because I get where you're coming from with those. The top 4 are probably leagues above the rest in terms of the ranking. I honestly believe he should be higher than Jake, and I know
above Jake.
I know you do too. I can see an argument why you wouldn't say that he's elite. I can see that. So I'm happy to put him in quality, at the top end of quality.
Do I want to put Warriors fans on the good side of my channel, or do I want to put him on the, good still, top of quality, but, he's still argued against my player kind of deal? I've got to think about that with the Warriors fan base. Because Warriors fans, they can come loud and proud. I can tell you that for free. I just think that those Warriors fans, I'm going to have to break your heart. I just think that those 4 guys have such a large reputation about themselves. Yeah. This is the thing that I think Warriors fans need to get into their heads too. I'm not putting him any lower than what he is anyway. It's just about the notion of elite and notion of quality. He's still in the top 5 locks here, for my personal belief, in the game. There's no one who's about to come that is above him. But I just don't think that he has that same kind of elite caliber base. But he did do so well at the Storm too. Oh, it's such a hard one. But that was years ago. Okay, I'm gonna stamp my foot down, say at the Warriors going into this year, I do think he's at the very top of quality. But I do think that, again, he is still right now in the top 5 locks in the game. It's just a literal name right next to it of elite quality. But that was a hard one. That was a real hard one. and my computer's going slow, so it's not going in, but it will update very soon, guys. So there we go. All right, we'll put him there. I can't wait to see what. Oh no, it's accidentally put him below Trbojevic. Move him before the Warriors fans start riding. Move him. There we go. All right, last 5. We've got Tommy Gilbert here for the Dolphins. I'll let you have a bit of a chat about Tommy Gilbert first here. Obviously, was injured for a little bit of last year, but what are your thoughts on Tommy Gilbert?
Oh man, this one's hard because he is a bloody good player.
Yeah,
bloody good. Like I would. He was great with the Cowboys. He was, but then the start of last year with the Dolphins, like
new level.
He was incredible, and then obviously playing for Queensland as well, and then unfortunately getting injured. I do, as you said, I do think he went to a new level with the Dolphins there at the front end of the season last year. It's tough because
plays a lot of back. He played back row for Queensland, but he was locked at the Dolphins.
Correct. Yeah, I probably wouldn't put him above Maddo personally because I just don't think we've seen enough of him at the lock position to warrant that. I don't know where you sit with that, but I'd be happy to put him above Finucane.
I want to put him in quality for sure. I'll say that I definitely want to put him in the wrong place. I'm happy to put him below Madison. I think that Gilbert is probably, and Madison's a tough player, but I think that Gilbert is one of the toughest players in the comp and will be a massive in 2024. I think that this year he could go a lot higher, but I think right now I'm happy to put him at literally the bottom of quality because unfortunately that injury did derail a lot of his season in 2023. So hopefully he, touch wood, doesn't have the injury bug in 2024 and can really crush it because, I really do like what Tommy Gilbert can do. And I agree with you that he went up a new level from 2022 at the Cowboys. So, it'll be massive to see him in 2024. All right, final 4. We've got Trey Mooney here from the Raiders. I think this is going to be another guy who, he does have some good raps on him, but would definitely be going into the unproven category.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and look, he's a chance to be a part of the team, and I think Trey Mooney was a potential breakout player this year, but it just didn't kind of happen, and especially with Corey Horsbrough playing as well as he did, because I do think that Corey Horsbrough was on his way out of the belief system at the Raiders until he just absolutely started killing it last year. Personally, and I'd be happy to put Trey Mooney above Morgan Smithies because he has had a couple of years of I'd even put him above Mason Teague, to be honest with you.
I would too,
Yeah, above Teague?
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so that'll update in a second, guys. Final 3 here, we've got Tyrone Peachy for the lock, who is probably going to be in a similar category to kind of how we kind of see Dylan Walker and Kurt Mann in the sense that he kind of plays every position. He plays center, he plays in the halves, he'll play in the forwards, and that's kind of what he does. I'd say that as a lock per se, I'd personally actually put him below Dylan Walker. I would, as a lock specifically. But again, it's the exact same kind of player.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would, especially from watching Dylan Walker play a bit more lock in 2023, I would probably have Peachy just below Walker.
Yeah, exactly right. But again, those 3 guys, they're kind of on top of each other, but you give advantages to Mann and probably advantage to Walker.
Yeah.
All right. This is a big one here, probably the final big one. And it is Victor Radley here for the Sydney Roosters. I said before with Jake Trbojevic that there was going to be a player later on that we talk about that has kind of the game has gone away from another player. And that was what I was talking about with Victor Radley. I do still think that Victor Radley is a quality lock for sure. Yeah. I'm not saying like to the job or anything like that, but I do think the game has gone in a different direction to the tough, gritty, hard-hitting, Basham style rugby league that we've seen in the past. And Victor Radley would have loved playing 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. But at the end of the day, man, like he's still not what he once was, but he's still in quality. Do you put him, for mine, maybe above or below Jason Taumalolo?
I reckon we chuck him in not that great, simply because he's a Roosters player. And look, I would probably have him above JT, to be honest. I think what hurts him a lot is his discipline as well, because
Well, that's what I'm kind of referring to the most.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
obviously, 20 years ago, he could have gotten away with a lot of the stuff that he does now,
Yeah, yeah,
but it's not 20 years ago anymore. So,
yeah. Yeah, I would, and you could even mount an argument that maybe above Horsbrough potentially, but I would probably, based off what we saw for what we've seen recently from Horsbrough, I'd probably have him between Horsbrough and JT. But
is that recency bias, though, do you reckon?
it probably, yeah. Um,
I think that, yeah, I would personally maybe put Radley above Horsbrough because we've seen it on a more consistent level and also has that premiership
yeah, absolutely.
to his name, whilst Horsbrough did kind of have just that 1 year. We do need to see a bit more out of Rads this year to get back to kind of where he has been in the past for sure. This is really annoying me, this computer, because it's really going slow right now. But yeah, I'd put Radley above Horsbrough, but I'm not putting him above Trbojevic. I think Trbojevic is still that next level in comparison.
I would agree, because Radley's got a couple of premierships under him too. So
yeah, he does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Well, Jake doesn't. But with that being said, I'd still have Jake individually better above Radley. And I guess that Radley also, well, he wouldn't get over Jake in a rep arena. That's why he went to England, actually, because I think he wanted to play for New South Wales or whatever, but realised he probably couldn't and then went to the English team. But with that being said, Radley is still a very, very solid lock and needs to see it again this year. But all right. We've got there. The final player of the lot is Zac Fulton here for Manly. And I hate that we're ending on this one, man. Like, I really do. I hate that we're ending on one that I'm probably going to say is in the not that great category, man. I have seen him around and heard his name around the system for a little bit. I'm going to quickly just have a look here at how many games he has played. But yeah, I really don't like ending on one that I'm probably going to look towards that not that great section. He was born 2001, so he will be 23 this year, still young. Oh, he's only played one game. I think that probably still puts him into Unproven.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because look, I'll be honest with you, I don't see an insane amount out of Zac Fulton. I know his family heritage and his roots and whatnot, guys. I don't see an insane amount about him. I don't actually think he's going to get too much of an opportunity overall at this Manly side, at least for the next couple of years. But again, that age is on his side. I'd probably put him above this. Is it Miles Martin here for the Knights? Was it Miles Martin?
Yeah.
I'll put him above Miles Martin, but probably below Hohepa Puru because from what I have seen, it's nothing spectacular. But I haven't seen much. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So all right.
I think there was a trial match where he came out and killed it, but then like even in reserve grade, like we haven't seen much from him since then. So
is Bobby Fulton his grandfather or dad or what? How is he related to him?
I think it's his grandfather.
Yeah, surely not dad. Yeah.
No, sure. So Scott's his father.
Yeah.
And Bob's his grandfather.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. We'll put him there above Miles Martin, below Hohepa Puru. But there we go. We have gone through 46 players here for you guys. And also let us know what your thoughts are in regards to one player who you think overall people will say is too high and one player who you think as a general consensus people will say is too low.
Okay. So player that I think people will say is too high. I actually think that a lot of people will say Jack de Belin is too high. I do, because I think there's a lot of people that really underestimate what Jack does. Sorry. So I think people will say that he's too high. Plus, I think unfortunately, I think he's got a bad rap for himself, which is unfortunate, but I think that I think that a lot of people will say that he is too high. I personally think we've ranked him perfectly, to be fair. But
to be fair, like this is the thing, right? This is our list, so we're going to think this is a fair list. And right now,
correct, yeah.
I'm looking at that top. I'm looking at the top 5, 6, 7. I think I'll get into my prediction in a second. I think the top 8 is definitely something that most people will agree on. I would say, outside of personal biases. But what player do you think is too low on the general consensus?
Oh, easily Tallis Duncan, mate. Should be number one. Like, let's be real. No, no, no. Realistically, I if you don't watch the whole video, I guarantee there's a lot of people that will say Nat Butcher because they just I just don't see him as a lock. And when you look at the tier list as a whole, like seeing Nat Butcher that low,
I know it looks weird. I agree with you. I think that if people don't watch the full video, they'll come and say, "Oh, Nat Butcher," but I'll reply to them anyway. But overall, people won't understand. So that will be that will be my look. I think if there's a too low one, maybe you could be looking at. I guess the same notion goes for Max King as well, by the way.
True.
For the Nat Butcher one. I think the too low. I do genuinely believe there could be a few people who come out and say either Jai Arrow or Kina Palacia is too low, but then that's not really their position, the lock anymore anyway. I'd say the too high one would be... Look, honestly, I don't know. I don't know who could be said as too high. There's no way in elite. Like, you cannot tell me that none of those four aren't elite, and you can't... I don't know, maybe Belin, maybe, or Tom Gilbert, because they don't look at it in a defensive, capacity. They look at it in an attacking capacity, and maybe he's not the greatest attacking player. But yeah, I think that overall, man, this isn't really a controversial list. There's nothing really controversial about this one. So yeah, happy with that one, man, and looking forward to 2024. But Adolf, appreciate you for jumping on, man. Let everyone know where they can find you.
No worries, mate. Just literally go on to any social media platform, search up Ados the Great, and I'll be there. I'm pretty easy to find.
He's pretty easy to find, folks. Just look for the biased Rabbitohs fan. No, I'm joking, but we appreciate having him on there. Obviously, like I said, guys, let us know in the comment section, and not the Premier anymore because it's about to go into the comment section, but let us know in the comments what your thoughts are, where you would rank these guys. And again, if you think that we were completely far off, go back and have a listen to what we actually said, because there's valid reasoning as to why we put players in each position. But hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new around here. I'm doing every single position with different content creators, so definitely tune back in soon. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See you.